Pikachu in Pokemon Unite has a difficulty rating of Novice, meaning that presumably he's very easy and straightforward to use. And I would argue that there's quite a few things about Pikachu that are not straightforward and are a little bit confusing. So what we're going to do in today's video is we're going to try to clear up a lot of that confusion. We're going to talk about his skills, his stats, and more importantly, how to play Pikachu. And we're going to talk a lot about his items too, because I feel like the items thing gets a little confusing on Pikachu. Okay? So let's just get started with his skills here, and we'll start making you a much better Pikachu player. So his first skill here is Thundershock, and what Thundershock does is it's a single target skill, meaning if I put this cone right here, it's only going to hit one of them. It does damage to that Pokemon, and it paralyzes them, and we'll talk a little bit more about Paralysis later in the video, but basically what Paralysis does is it causes the target to move a little bit slower. There's other stuff going on with it, but for now, it makes them slower. Now Electro Web here, what Electro Web does is it'll grab somebody and hold them in place for a second. So I can do this, and then you can't move for a second. It also does a little bit of damage. Now, to compare how much damage these skills do, we usually go to level 15 for that type of thing. We'll come on over here, and the amount of damage that Thundershock does is 1307. The amount of damage that Electro Web does is, I believe, around 847. Yeah, sure enough, 847 damage on Electro Web. So pretty low damage on each of those, frankly, for a level 15 version of them. And then at level 4, Pikachu gets his first skill. He gets his first power spike, and typically people pick Electro Ball, which is what was auto-picked here. And Electro Ball is pretty interesting. It's a very powerful skill, and it also uses a mechanic called Sure Hit. So what Electro Ball does is it'll single target someone, and it'll chase him down with an Electro Ball. Now, at level 15, it does 1569 damage to the substitute doll here, but there's some other things going on with Electro Ball that make it really, really cool. So Electro Ball is like many other skills in this game, where the lower the HP of the target, the more damage it does. So if I keep doing this, suddenly I'm doing more and more and more damage. The amount of damage I'm doing is going up per Electro Ball, because the amount of health that the substitute doll has is going down. Now, Electro Ball Plus will go ahead and increase the damage of Electro Ball by about 18%. And something else to know about Electro Ball is, I said it's a sure hit skill. That means if you cast it on someone, it's hitting them no matter what. They could go into the grass and become invisible. They could eject button away halfway across the map. This thing is chasing them down, and it's gonna hit them no matter what. And one other cool thing about Electro Ball is that it does a radius of damage. So if I hit right here, all these bees get hit. So not only is it really good at taking out somebody who's low with health because of the increased damage it does when they have low HP, it's also good at just dealing a lot of area damage. So Electro Ball is an awesome skill, especially since you can get it at level 4, meaning that Pikachu is really, really mean in the lane early game. Now, the other skill we have selected here is Thunderbolt. This replaces Electro Web, and what Thunderbolt does is it'll do a little area of effect, and anybody who's in that area of effect will be stunned and also take damage. Like this. Level 15, Thunderbolt Plus is doing 1358 damage. The main difference between Thunderbolt Plus and Thunderbolt is just a damage increase, so Thunderbolt Plus does 18% more damage than its predecessor. And some other things to know about Thunderbolt is that it takes a little bit of time to cast. It's not instant, so if you do this, see how it waits to charge up, so make sure you time it appropriately. And some neat ways to go ahead and use Thunderbolt is if you have a feeling that somebody's hiding in the grass over here, you can cast it right there to get an early jump on them, and then your whole team together can capitalize on the fact that you stunned the enemy. So there's not too much going on with the first two skills here. Pretty straightforward, which is why he's getting a novice rating in terms of difficulty. Now let's move on to his other two skills here, which are going to be Thunder and Volt Tackle. Also, before we go too much farther, we have a new channel, Pokemon Unite Guides. It's just Pokemon Unite content, just Pokemon Unite guides, gameplay, learning new stuff about the game. On SwingPoynt, I upload a bunch of other stuff. Pokemon Unite Guides is only Pokemon Unite. So if you really like this game, you want to learn more about it, go check it out over there. We started the channel like a week and a half ago, and we're almost at 1,000 subscribers. We're like 15 or 10 people away. You could be the one to go ahead and get us there. But with that, let's go ahead and continue the Pikachu video here. So let's start with Thunder. Thunder's pretty straightforward. It just does a big area of effect, causing damage. Now, Thunder at level 15 causes 2,105 damage, which is respectable, not bad. And then Thunder Plus does a bunch more damage. So Thunder Plus gets a 40% upgrade to damage to the Thunder skill. And what's really cool about that is you get that at level 11, which is not very high. That's one of the big perks about Pikachu is he gets a lot of power early. Some other Pokemon, you gotta wait till like level 14 to upgrade some of their skills. Pikachu gets his stuff relatively early. So a 40% upgrade makes that 2100 jump up to about a 2950. And that's a pretty juicy amount of damage for a level 15 skill. That's pretty much all there is to Thunder. It just does a bunch of damage in an area of effect. Now on to Volt Tackle here. Volt Tackle, people typically don't pick Volt Tackle because Thunderbolt just tends to be a little bit more useful, especially with the way that Pikachu is built because he's squishy. But what Volt Tackle does is it'll charge forward. You grab someone, hold them in place, and stun them for a little bit. And it does a little bit of damage, about 1,000 damage, which is not a lot. But it's mainly all about that hindrance. It goes ahead again, grabs them, holds them in place, and stuns them. That's the cool part about Volt Tackle. Now, Volt Tackle would be a lot more cool if Thunderbolt didn't also stun people and actually be able to stun more than one person and do way more damage. So people tend to not pick Volt Tackle. Another big problem with Volt Tackle is if you take a look at Pikachu's stats here. So Pikachu's stats are pretty low in terms of durability. He has 6,300 HP, which is definitely on the low end of the scale. The lowest is like Cinderace and Greninja. They have like 5,400, but 6,300 is pretty low, especially since his defense is only 175 and his special defense is only 135. If you remember the Blastoise video we just had, Blastoise's defense is like 600. And his special defense is 420. So what that means is if you hit Pikachu and you hit Blastoise, Pikachu's getting hit way harder with the same hit. And Pikachu also has less health. So in general, Pikachu is just way more squishy than a lot of other Pokemon out there. Which is why Volt Tackle isn't that great, because it pulls you in really close. But I think that's a really good segue into talking about Pikachu's biggest strength and where he gets really, really, really confusing. It's his basic attacks. So if you go ahead and take a look at Pikachu's basic attacks here, they're honestly nothing too special in terms of damage. 290 damage, that's okay. It's nothing incredible. And then his boosted attack does 702 damage. Again, nothing incredible. Like Bulbasaur does some crazy thing with his special attack. Talonflame just has a really high basic attack damage. So nothing that Pikachu's doing is too insane on the damage front, but what Pikachu is so good at, and what I think you should build your playstyle around with Pikachu, is his range. He can hit at such a far distance. He's great at poking people. Poke, 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 poke. There is not a Pokemon in the game that has a farther range than Pikachu has. I went ahead and I tested a bunch of different Pokemon here, and I brought them all into the center area and just took a look at how far they could reach. And Pikachu by far, why'd these bees respawn? Pikachu by far has the farthest range. Cinderace does not have as much range as Pikachu. Greninja does not have as much range as Pikachu. Pikachu has the farthest range out of all the characters in the game. So that's how you should play him. You should play Pikachu in a way where you are just always a little bit away from everyone. All right? Stay away, stay away, stay away. Reason why that's really important is because Pikachu is squishy. He's not meant to be in the thick of things. Also, Pikachu doesn't really have any skills that help him get away from people. He doesn't have a dash that helps him get away from anyone late game. So that means you need to be staying away. Since he is squishy and can't get away from people, if you get too close, you're getting in trouble with Pikachu really quickly, which is probably why a lot of people who don't understand Pikachu get their butts whooped when they play him. Pikachu can be really powerful, especially when he uses Electro Ball and can snipe people down. They try to run away, well that Electro Ball is coming, and if you're at low health, it's going to destroy you. But you need to stay far away as much as you can with Pikachu. And I think this is where Pikachu gets really confusing, because Pikachu's biggest asset is his range. Nobody in the game has range like Pikachu. However, basic attacks count as physical attack damage. Everything else on Pikachu is special attack damage. So they kind of contradict each other. So we're going to talk more about that with his items, and I'll showcase that to you by equipping different things. But long story short, you're going to want to run attack items on him rather than special attack items, so you can get more out of Pikachu. But before we get into that, let's cover his last skill real quick so that we can be done with the skills. So his final skill here is his Unite move. And what that does is he goes, roar! And he'll cast a big old lightning bolt on the ground 4 times, doing 4,388 damage. Pretty decent. Now, the not so great part about that, though, is it only casts that lightning bolt on one person at a time, except for the first time. So I think I have footage here where I'll have a Pikachu and I'll have a substitute doll right next to each other. The first blast goes ahead and casts a bolt on each of them. And then after that, it takes turns on whoever it decides it wants to hit. Now, one cool part about Thunderbolt is that if enemies are close to each other, it'll hit both of them. Even though the lightning bolt's only coming down on one enemy, if two of them are close to each other, they're both taking damage. So Thunderstorm's a little interesting. It has to be cast on a person. You can't just cast it on bees or something. It has to be cast on an enemy Pokemon, not a wild Pokemon. And it can do a lot of damage. Another thing it does is it makes Pikachu kind of float up in the air and run a little bit faster. But you got to be kind of careful with how you use it. Thunderstorm is best used when the enemy is clumped up. So to showcase what I'm talking about with his items, this is going to be a very different way of covering items because we usually do that all at the end of the video. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to put on Wise Glasses at level 10 and then Special Attack Specs at level 10. Okay, because I have a feeling most people have their items in the level 10 to 20 range, right? So I'm going to put on both of these special attack items because Pikachu's a special attacker. So you would be like, oh, okay, let's make his skills better. That would make sense, right? Yes, it would, but that's not how it works. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to charge up my special attack specs. I'm going to get 6 stacks on them so that they're maxed out, and then we'll take a look at how much more damage Pikachu is doing with his skills. All right, my special attack specs are maxed out. I have Wise Glasses on. Let's take a look at how much damage Electro Ball does. Electro Ball is going to do 1990 damage. Okay? Now, with 2 item slots completely used up, out of the only 3 that you get, the amount of extra damage I'm doing with maxed out special attack specs and Wise Glasses is only 6.4% higher than the 1869 I was doing before. I have 2 items committed to making his skills stronger, and I'm only getting 6.4% more damage out of it because, yeah, again, 1990 divided by 1869. Yeah, you're only getting about 6% more damage. That's a ripoff. And it makes it's very confusing, right? You would think, oh, he's a special attacker. I should equip special attack items. Honestly, my research with Pikachu here is completely changing how I think about special attack items in general. But Pikachu especially gets ripped off. It almost feels like special attack items and skills don't work the way you intuitively think they would. Like if I think that my special attack goes up by 5%, I'm like, oh, that means my skills will be up 5% stronger. I don't think so. It almost feels like your special attack causes a certain amount of damage to something, and then the skills do their own separate thing. Meaning that we're only getting a buff on the special attack number, not the skills. That's kind of what it feels like. So, for some reason, Pikachu is really, really ripped off by special attack items. Now, I'm going to go ahead and showcase the same idea with attack on his physical attacks, okay? And to go ahead and let me do that right away, I'm going to do that on Snorlax rather than doing it to a substitute doll, because doing it to a substitute doll is not a fair representation because substitute dolls have a tremendous amount of HP and it wouldn't make any sense. So let's just get a good base number here on Snorlax. So a good base number for his attack on Snorlax is 209. Okay, remember that number, 209 for a basic attack on Snorlax. So now we're going to take our items here and we're going to swap them to the attack weight. Again, only level 10. And then the muscle band. I have the muscle band at level 20, and muscle band is one of those items that I would recommend upgrading first because it is exponentially dependent on its tiers, like level 1, level 10, level 20. Level 20 is substantially better than level 1 on the muscle band. So if there's an item you want to pick first, that's one of the ones you want to pick. But with that, let's go ahead and go into the game here. Now, like before with the special attack specs, I maxed them out, so I'm going to go ahead and do that here real quick and score 6 separate times so that I can max out my attack weight. All right, now I can go ahead and showcase the amount of damage here that's going to be done to the substitute doll. But again, the substitute dolls have so much health that the muscle band skews the numbers in a way that don't make sense. So let me go ahead and show you just for the sake of practice here, but before I was doing 290 damage with what basic attack, well, suddenly I'm doing 720 damage. Now, let's go ahead and check that out on Snorlax so we can make a little bit more sense of that. But just intuitively, you're like, wow, that's way more than 290. 720? It's because it is a lot more. But now let's test it out on Snorlax so you can see what it actually looks like on a Pokemon. So now we have Snorlax here at max health. Let's see how much damage we do to him with our attack weight and our muscle band. Now remember, the number before with no attack items equipped was 209. Well, now suddenly the number is, stay real close because two of them are going to pop up, 208 and 259. So if we add those together, suddenly we're doing 467 damage to Snorlax. Understand why this is really important? So 467 divided by 209, that means that you are getting a 123% damage increase on your basic attacks. Now you tell me, what's more worth it? A 120% increase on a character that does really, really well at basic attacking from a really far distance, or a 6% increase on his skills? It's the basic attacks. The way I would recommend playing Pikachu is stay away from everyone because he doesn't have a lot of skills that get him away from trouble, and just poke people with his range. And use those really, really, really big bonuses that you can get from muscle band and attack weight to make it so you can just harass and harass and harass. And then if they get low, you do have really strong skills to help stun or finish them. And then take them out. That's what I would do with Pikachu, because that's just how he's made. It doesn't make sense because the physical attack and the special attack are fighting with each other, but when you actually play him out in practice, you're way more effective by taking care of his basic attacks than you are by taking care of his special attacks. And again, I only have attack weight at level 10. If you have an attack weight at level 20, that number's going to be even larger. That 120% is going to be, I don't know, probably 130, 135, maybe 140%. A couple more things to know about Pikachu's basic attacks is that he causes paralysis on the third hit. So take a peek here. 1, 2, stun. And you see that little electric aura around the bee? Well, what that does is it makes him move slower. That's the main thing that I know that paralysis does. Now, I'm really curious to see if anybody knows anything else about paralysis. Please let me know in the comments down below. But that's the main thing I'm able to gather from paralysis. Reason why it matters, and it's a little bit different than just slowing the Pokemon down, is some other Pokemon in the game, mainly right now Zeraora, benefits from Pokemon being under the effects of paralysis. His discharge gets an extra effect when a Pokemon is affected by paralysis, meaning that Pikachu and Zeraora complement each other because Pikachu causes paralysis a few different ways. One of which is his basic attacks when they're boosted, another one is Electro Ball, and his other one here is his passive skill here, which you can actually see right now. So Pikachu has a passive where whenever he takes damage, an aura around him spits out and everybody becomes under the effect of paralysis. And you can tell when it's active because Pikachu starts glowing. You see how he has that electricity around him? Well, that means that his passive is ready to explode. In case you ever wondered what that meant, that's what that means. So if one of these guys hit me, you'll see all of them will get hit with paralysis, and then the electricity around Pikachu will go away. So hit me. Now you see how they all got shocked and they all have the electric energy around them? It only lasts for a little bit. But I also no longer have that electricity around me, meaning that if they hit me again, it's not going to do it again because it goes on cooldown. Now the cooldown is very long, actually. It's a 30-second cooldown. So to me, this further complements the idea that Pikachu is meant to stay away from people. This cooldown is slow them down so I can get away. It is not to go ahead and consistently harass people. I mean, I guess if you wanted to, you could put it in a way where you go in there, attack, they're slowed down, and then you can go ahead and try to finish them. But frankly, if you're going to try to paralyze them, I would use your skills to go ahead and do that rather than your passive. Oh, one other thing I just noticed that I forgot to mention is that Pikachu's charged up attack, you can tell when he's charged up by two ways. One, if you take a look at the boosted attack gauge, you see like the next one, it's going to be his third attack, which means he's boosted. But the extra one here is if you take a look at his tail gets all full of electricity, meaning that his next attack is going to be a boosted attack. Now let's officially move on over to items here for Pikachu and talk about what we're going to put on the old mousey. So if we go ahead and change over to Pikachu here, what I would recommend putting on him is absolutely Muscle Band. You need to have Muscle Band on Pikachu to really take advantage of his long range that he has. Again, no other Pokemon in the game currently has as much range as Pikachu does. I would also consider throwing on an attack weight to further complement that damage that he can do. Really just make him really strong at poking. And then for the third slot here, you will never go wrong if you pick Buddy Barrier for any Pokemon. It's good on everyone. Everyone. Because not only does it help you, it helps out your team. And it makes it so that your Unite move can kind of be a way to get extra sustain out of your character in case you're low on health. So Buddy Barrier is a good choice on anyone. However, if we want to consider going away from the Buddy Barrier meta, something you also could consider is the Score Shield. Reason why is because you want to buff up your attack weight. Your attack weight gets an increase in power every time you score. Individual scores. So you could score 1 energy, 1 energy, 1 energy, 1 energy, 1 energy. That's how you're going to buff it up over and over and over again. If you score 1 energy 6 times, that's going to buff up your attack weight more than scoring 50 energy once. It's per score, it's not the amount of energy, okay? So Score Shield can help you get some of those scores in. Score Shield also makes it so you don't get stunned if they try to jump pad on you. Score Shield also stacks with other shields, so if you have an Eldegoss on your team providing shields or somebody Buddy Barriered around you, that shield from them is going to further complement Score Shield. So you could consider running Score Shield. After doing my research here, I'm severely disappointed with Wise Glasses. I honestly just would recommend not even putting them on. Wise Glasses and Special Attack Specs, they were both just terrible on Pikachu. Really, they were just bad. Also, I would stay away from the Cookie because people might be like, oh, well, he doesn't have a lot of HP. Maybe if I give him more HP, that'll be better. First off, if you want to get more HP, Buddy Barrier is going to be a better pick anyway because you get a big chunk right away, and then you also get that 40% from when you use your Unite move. But the bigger problem is that Pikachu just has low defense anyway. So give him a bunch of HP. That's not his problem. It's the fact that he just has really low defense. We stream just about every single night on twitch.tv/SwingPoynt. I'd love to see you guys over there. We do a lot of viewer games if you want to get involved with that. We also stream on YouTube every once in a while. A reminder, we have that new Pokemon channel, Pokemon Unite Guides. We're very close to 1,000 subscribers. We're like 15 away or less than that. So you could be the ones to get us over there, and you'll get bragging rights for being one of the first people over there. The channel started like a week and a half ago, so it could be you. Go ahead and check that out for Pokemon Unite Guides, more Pokemon Unite stuff. And with that, thank you guys so much for being here. You guys are awesome. I hope you learned a thing or two about Pikachu, and I'll see you in the next video that we do around here.